let's talk about artificial intelligence.
Oh,
So
yes.
here's some basic bullets. We know the technology exists today to analyze UAP data almost instantaneously, and it's anywhere in the world. This technology is relatively low cost. Now, relatively is important. I'll explain that in a minute. This technology continues to improve over time, and this technology offers innumerable advantages over its human counterpart. So now what I'm about to present to you is a test case. Okay. This is an example of how AI can be helpful to our discussion. Yes, we are currently working on this. It's been a lot of work. It's not ready for prime time. So I'm going to run through you an example with using a real video. So this summer,
we've been waiting for.
yeah, this summer we got a video. And by the way, this is important to test the veracity and credibility of information, just as it is important to test to see if a UFO video or picture is real. It's also important to be able to disprove it, because when you're going to elected officials, you have to be able to tell them with confidence, 99.9% confidence, that this is legit or it's not. So we get a video from a military officer in, I won't say exactly where, other than California. And he says, look, I saw a black UFO hovering in the distance. He took a video using regular resolution on a commercially available cellular telephone. He's a U.S. Army officer, and I'm going to play it for you real quick. Now, when you see it, it's going to be very grainy, and you're not going to see very much. The video itself is actually a little bit better quality. You had to compress it to get it on here. But that little black disc back there, you're looking and say, well, that doesn't really look like much of anything, even though that the guy swears he saw a black disc hovering in the background. So why is that important? Well, because then what we can do is, let me show you the still.
Whoa.
Right. That people say, whoa, wait a minute. That looks like a black hovering disc in the desert. You're not lying. Holy crap. So let's see what AI can do for us. So you have the AI first look at the background, and the AI immediately identifies 3 environmental anomalies not consistent with the background, right? So it looks at these objects and says, this is not consistent with the background. However, the image is legitimate. The background has not been manipulated, and it's comparing and contrasting color, shape, and pixelation, okay? And then we ask the AI, okay, what about the object itself? Now, the human eye can't see it, but it identifies minor pixelation anomalies that are analyzed to be protrusions, some sort of weird thing coming off the side of this black disc, right? It also determines that the image is legitimate and it has not been manipulated, and it is not an artifact. It's a genuine object on screen. So then you ask the AI, okay, so regarding the background, what can you tell us? Well, okay, so the artificial intelligence comes up and says, look, there's a 94% likelihood that is the tail of a C-17 aircraft that you're seeing in the middle. 85% certainty that is an F-35 Lightning that you're looking at. And of course, there to the far right it looks like the tail of 2 aircraft, but it doesn't really know what it is. Now, these pictures are stock pictures. Ultimately what will happen is we'll have the rights to actually have, real schematic, hopefully government schematic diagrams of aircraft that will be able to compare and contrast. And then when you look at the mechanism in the middle here, this if you will, this disc, it says there is something for sure coming off the edges of this disc. So then you ask the AI, okay, so in your best guess, what are we looking at? What it appears to be a black disc is in fact an dark olive green U.S. Army field tent, observation tent, and the protrusions coming off the side are guide wires. And what this is more than likely is a U.S. Army tent that has been set up as observation along an airfield to do flight operations. And so that is why it is so important that we invest in these type of capabilities, because not only will it allow us to identify when a UFO is real, but it will also help us identify when it's not. It's equally important that we can do both fair and objectively. Now, limitations of AI, you see here to the left, near instant analysis of massive volume of information, obviously is more accurate than human counterparts. It doesn't succumb to human fatigue, operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, operate all classification levels, and the more data, the more accurate it becomes, and is bias neutral. But like we all know, there are limitations. So all AI must be trained. There is a massive upfront time investment to train it. There's also an initial investment to build it is expensive. It requires human oversight, and not all AI is created equal.
Right.
And bad data can perpetuate poor results. So if I teach the AI to identify a tent as a disk, then it will always identify a tent as a disk. And last but not least, it lacks human discernment. So towards the end here, I asked everybody the same question. You know, the question your kid always wants to know in the back of the car when you're going on a trip: are we there yet? Are we there? Do we have disclosure? And the answer is, I don't know. I'll leave that to you. So with that said, let me go back here and come back to you guys. I think it's here, right? And let me stop sharing my screen. All right. So